All right, so are you ready to dive into some serious drama?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because today we're looking at messages documenting a server election that'll make your average student council race look like, a walk in the park.
That's for sure.
This is for the Dropheads server, and we're going to be looking at the election of a new owner.
All right.
Now, why should you care about this? Well, besides the fact that it's wildly entertaining,
Yeah.
this little microcosm of democracy is a fascinating study in power dynamics,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
manipulation, and how a single vote can really just turn everything upside down.
It's amazing what happens when you look at, these messages from a seemingly casual online space
Right.
and how they reveal tactics and behaviors that mirror real-world politics.
It's so true. We've got a colorful cast of characters all vying for control.
Oh, yeah.
There's Lily.
Okay.
There's Jeff, who, by the way, has the interesting title of ex-presidential candidate Jeff. And then there's Cam,
Okay.
all vying for the top spot. And then there's Zach, better known as Big Dog, who's less of a candidate and more of a self-appointed, election watchdog.
I see.
Some of his pronouncements are absolutely priceless, like when he tries to ensure a fair election by prohibiting candidate contact with a key voter named Adam.
Interesting.
Nah.
So that attempt, while it might have seemed well-intentioned, it immediately triggered suspicion from other server members.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly Jeff, who throws out accusations of potential bribery, even though Zach isn't even running.
Exactly.
It really sets the tone for the entire election.
Right.
A mix of genuine aspiration and underlying distrust.
Yeah, and it's not just the candidates themselves.
Right.
The role of the owner in this server seems to be a pretty big deal.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of power does that position actually hold?
Well, being the owner means you have ultimate authority over the server, you set the rules, manage memberships, even control the all-important flow of V-Bucks.
Yeah.
Which, as you can imagine, is a pretty big deal in this digital landscape.
Oh, yeah.
It's no wonder this election is getting so heated.
Okay, that explains the high stakes. So back to the story.
Yeah.
Round 1 of voting wraps up,
Uh-huh.
and what happens?
What?
A tie between Lily and Jeff.
Wow.
Cam, unfortunately, is left in the dust with a single vote.
Oh, no.
His response,
What's he say?
blaming potential racism against his leprechaun heritage.
Oh, Kent, that's just like him always bringing the humor, even in defeat.
Yeah.
But his comment, while lighthearted, does raise a subtle point about how identity and perception play a role, even in a digital space.
That's a good point. So a runoff election is announced,
Okay.
and you'd think that would simplify things.
Right.
Nope. Just throws fuel on the fire.
Oh.
Jeff, for instance, immediately rejects any talk of a shared leadership, saying he and Lily have very different approaches. He's adamant about sticking to his platform, which, by the way, he heavily emphasized in his meticulously crafted campaign video.
Oh, wow. So that tells us a lot about Jeff, doesn't it? He's strategic organized and seems to be playing this like a seasoned politician.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Big Dog is practically jumping for joy that there's a runoff.
Really?
He even offers to help with the transition team,
Oh, my goodness.
which gets a very sarcastic response from Sash, another server member, with a knack for witty commentary.
It's almost as if Big Dog is relishing the chaos and wants to insert himself into every aspect of the election, which of course just makes people even more suspicious of his motives.
And this is all before things go completely off the rails.
How
I mean, you
about?
won't believe what happens next.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah.
So just as the server is getting used to the idea of a runoff, Tem throws a major curveball into the mix.
Oh, boy.
He issues what he calls a public safety alert,
Okay.
claiming Big Dog is armed and dangerous.
Wait, hold on. Armed and dangerous?
Yeah.
What does that even mean in the context of a Discord server? Is he like gonna unleash a torrent of spicy memes or something?
Right. The whole thing is a little absurd, especially since Tem doesn't even seem to know Big Dog's real last name.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Despite its comedic flaws,
Right.
this alert really kind of injects a level of paranoia into the server.
So Tem's spreading misinformation, whether intentionally or not.
Yeah.
And how do the other players react to this bombshell?
Well, Cam surprisingly jumps on board
Really?
and fully supports Tem's claims.
Oh, wow.
Jeff, on the other hand, seems more amused than alarmed.
Huh.
Almost as if he sees this as another entertaining twist in this whole election saga.
You mentioned earlier that Jeff seems to be playing this whole thing strategically.
Uh-huh.
Do you think his amusement is genuine, or is he just putting on a show?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
Jeff's a bit of an enigma.
Okay.
He's clearly intelligent and calculating.
Right.
But there's also this sense of detachment,
Yeah.
as if he's observing the chaos from a distance.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he sees this whole situation with him as beneficial to his campaign. After all, any drama that takes the spotlight off his opponents could work in his favor.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Big Dog's not just going to sit back and let these accusations fly.
No.
He fires back, claiming it's all a big conspiracy cooked up by the fake news media.
Oh, my.
He even threatens to introduce a ballot measure to punish misinformation if Jeff wins.
Classic Big Dog, always turning up the volume.
Yeah.
But notice how he shifts the blame outward,
Uh-huh.
painting himself as the victim of a smear campaign.
Yeah.
This ties back to that distrust that's been simmering since the beginning of the election.
And then Cam, not missing a beat, proposes his own countermeasure, specifically targeting Big Dog.
Wow, so it's like they're mirroring each other's tactics.
Yeah.
Each trying to gain an advantage.
Exactly. This back and forth highlights the competitive nature of the election and how personal it's become.
Right.
It's no longer just about policies or platforms. It's about personalities and power struggles.
Yeah, for sure.
And just when you think it can't get any crazier, Big Dog pulls a total 180.
What?
He retracts his support for Jeff
Oh, wow.
and throws his weight behind Lily.
Okay.
He praises her nonpartisan approach and says he's deeply concerned about misinformation.
So this sudden shift is fascinating.
Yeah.
On the surface, it seems principled, but the timing is incredibly suspect.
Right.
Remember, just moments ago, he was threatening to introduce a ballot measure against misinformation if Jeff won.
So do you think he's genuinely worried about misinformation, or is this just another calculated move?
I'm leaning towards the latter.
Okay.
It seems like a classic case of strategic maneuvering.
Right.
By aligning himself with Lily, who's generally seen as more trustworthy,
Yeah.
he can try to distance himself from the accusations of manipulation and chaos that have been swirling around him.
Okay, so Big Dog's playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
But what about Cam?
Yeah.
He must be loving this role.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cam doesn't even try to hide his skepticism.
Right.
He sees right through Big Dog's act,
Yeah.
knowing that alliances in this server are as fluid as the digital landscape itself.
Meanwhile, Tem's accusations about Big Dog get even wilder.
Oh, no.
Now he's claiming Big Dog is stockpiling weapons for an insurrection
Oh, geez.
and that Netflix is making a series about him.
This is where the line between reality and online fantasy really starts to blur.
It's crazy.
It's almost as if Tem is getting caught up in the drama he's creating,
Yeah.
turning the election into a personal entertainment spectacle.
And believe it or not, Big Dog seems to be enjoying all the attention.
Really?
He even admits to loving the memes being made about him,
Wow.
despite claiming earlier that he hates being in the spotlight.
Right? That's the paradox of Big Dog.
Yeah,
He says he wants a fair election, but he also thrives on the chaos he creates.
that's true.
It makes you wonder what his true motivations are.
Well, just as this situation seems to be reaching peak absurdity, we get a twist that nobody saw coming.
It turns out that the deciding vote rests in the hands of none other than Tem,
Oh, wow.
the same guy who kicked off this whole armed and dangerous fiasco.
What are the chances? So Tem, the guy who we thought was maybe not really following all the details,
Right.
has the deciding vote.
He holds the power to determine the future leadership of the entire server.
Talk about a power trip. And Big Dog, realizing this, basically begs Tem to cast his vote.
Yeah.
He says he can't handle another drawn-out election.
That plea for a swift resolution is quite revealing.
Yeah.
Beneath Big Dog's confident exterior and penchant for drama, there's a hint of vulnerability there.
This is true.
Maybe all this maneuvering has taken its toll even on him.
Yeah, and Jeff always, the voice of reason, chimes in saying another runoff wouldn't really change anything.
Right.
But Big Dog insists that it would at least give the candidates more time to connect with voters.
So you've got these contrasting viewpoints which highlight a fundamental difference in their approaches to leadership. Jeff prioritizes efficiency and stability. Big Dog, on the other hand, seems to thrive on prolonged engagement and, let's be honest, a healthy dose of chaos.
Okay, so how does Tem handle this newfound power?
Yeah.
Does he, make a bold declaration or lay out his demands?
Not exactly. He plays it cool, saying he needs time to carefully assess his options and requests privacy for his decision-making process.
Yeah.
He even compares it to choosing a poll number.
Which, as you pointed out earlier, is a pretty ridiculous analogy.
Right.
Yeah, that's Tem for you, always adding a touch of the absurd.
But I guess it's also a way of deflecting the pressure.
Absolutely. He's buying himself time and perhaps enjoying the attention a little too much.
Could be.
Lily, meanwhile, encourages Tem to take all the time he needs.
Yeah.
She recognizes the weight of his decision, which again shows her level-headed approach to this whole chaotic situation.
It's a stark contrast to Big Dog's impatience and Jeff's calculated maneuvering.
Right.
Lily seems genuinely committed to a fair process, even if it means potentially losing the election.
Okay, but back to Tim. The realization that he holds the deciding vote sends shockwaves through the server.
It does.
Big Dog even expresses disbelief that it all comes down to this one unpredictable character.
It's a powerful reminder that even in a seemingly controlled environment like a Discord server, there are always elements of unpredictability.
That's true.
Individual choices, even seemingly random ones, can have a ripple effect and disrupt the most carefully laid plans.
And then, in a move that can only be described as classic Jeff, he jokingly threatens to kill both himself and Tem if Tem doesn't vote for him.
Oh my gosh, dark humor at its finest.
It really is.
It's a moment of levity that punctures the tension, but it also reveals something interesting about Jeff's character. Beneath his composed exterior and strategic thinking, there's a sense of desperation bubbling beneath the surface. He wants this win badly.
Yeah, he does. And Tem, ever the opportunist, seizes the moment.
He does.
He demands that both candidates outline what personal benefits he'll receive for voting for them. He's not even trying to be subtle about wanting to be bribed.
So that's a bold move, and it shows how quickly power dynamics can shift in this type of environment. Tem, who moments ago was seen as a somewhat clueless character, is now dictating the terms of the election.
So how do the candidates respond to this blatant request for favors?
Does
anyone actually try to buy Tem's vote?
Jeff surprisingly doesn't hesitate.
Really?
He offers Tem entry into a $1 million lottery.
What?
In exchange for signing a pledge to vote for him. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is.
Wow, that's a serious bribe. It really shows how determined Jeff is to win this thing.
It does, but it also raises questions about the lengths to which people are willing to go to secure power. Even in a seemingly low-stakes environment like this.
That's true. Just as Tim seems about to accept Jeff's offer, Big Dog throws another wrench into the works.
What does he do?
He switches his vote back to Lily, breaking the tie and seemingly eliminating Tem's leverage.
Big Dog's motive here is a bit ambiguous. Is he genuinely trying to ensure a fair election, or is this another attempt to disrupt the process and assert his own influence? It's almost impossible to tell.
Right. Big Dog always keeps us guessing, but Jeff's reaction is even more surprising.
What's he do?
He changes his vote to Lily as well, but he calls it a tantrum because he's not winning.
Oh, Jeff, that's so unlike him.
I know, right?
That outburst is so uncharacteristic of Jeff, who's usually so composed and in control. It shows that even the most calculated players can be driven by emotion, especially when the stakes are high.
And as the clock ticks down to the polls closing, Big Dog starts a dramatic countdown, like he's hosting a digital New Year's Eve celebration.
It's a classic Big Dog move.
It is.
Emphasizing his role as the orchestrator of all this drama. He may not be a candidate, but he's certainly the center of attention.
But Tem, never one to be outdone, asks Big Dog to make the vote closer so it's more exciting.
Oh, jeez.
And aligns with his role play the current presidential election. He wants to drag this thing out even longer.
This request highlights Tem's disconnect between the online world and reality. He's treating this election like a game, prioritizing his own entertainment over the genuine concerns and aspirations of the other server members.
Big Dog, however, is having none of it. He dismisses Tem's request, insisting on a clear winner to finally bring this election saga to an end.
There's a sense of exhaustion in Big Dog's voice.
Paid that.
It's as if he's finally realizing the consequences of all the chaos he's created.
And in a last-ditch effort to sow discord, Tem suggests that Tall and Minuts might make a last-minute bid for candidacy.
Oh, wow.
Big Dog immediately shuts that down as misinformation.
Even in the final moments, Tem can't resist trying to stir the pot. He's a true agent of chaos right to the very end.
So there you have it. The Drophead server election, a whirlwind of drama, manipulation, and unexpected twists that ultimately leaves us with more questions than answers.
It's been a fascinating journey through the digital landscape of power.
It has.
Revealing how even in a seemingly insignificant online community, the same dynamics that shape our real-world politics can play out in surprising and often hilarious ways.
And as for Tem's deciding vote, well, that remains a mystery. The records are sealed tighter than a vault. But one thing's for sure.
What's that?
This election will go down in Drophead's history as a truly epic tale of ambition, betrayal, and the enduring power of a single vote.
And if this deep dive taught us anything, it's that no matter where you find yourself in a server, a boardroom, or even a nation-power dynamics are always at play.
That's for sure.
And those who understand how to navigate them, whether through strategy, manipulation, or sheer luck, often hold the keys to the kingdom.
So what about you? What stood out to you most in this wild election saga? And if you were in Tim's shoes, holding that all-important deciding vote, what factors would you consider? Let us know your thoughts and join us next time for another deep dive into the weird, wonderful, and sometimes utterly baffling world of the internet.